Are you thinking about getting Elementor Pro and improving that awesome plugin that builds great pages on WordPress? Well, in this video, we're going to take a detailed look at exactly what's included in Elementor Pro and why you might want to buy it right now. Let's jump right in. Elementor Pro. Let's take a look at some of the cool benefits you get when you purchase the Pro version of this amazing page building tool that you probably already love. I'm going to go through first all of the features, the actual elements I should say, that you get with Elementor Pro, or at least most of them, to give you an idea of what they do and how they can help you build amazing web pages. And let's jump right in. The first one is the animated headline here, which is quite cool, something you can use maybe on your homepage or a sales page to get people's attention. You can have a headline where a part of that headline is either underlined or circled like this. That's not circled, that's double highlighted. You can strike through it to sort of cancel it out, or you can do this retyping effect, which you might have seen, where the words change and you can list what those words are. I'm not a huge fan of all of this stuff. I think you can distract people if you do this too much, but there is a time and a place where this can be useful on a website. So let's actually just delete that so it's not distracting us anymore. And then the next one is the blog post display. Now this is a really cool one. I've used other page builders like Thrive before, which have a blog post display, but I haven't found it as customizable or as nice as this one, at least not yet. This is one of the best ones on the market that I've seen, or probably the best one. Basically, if you want to have a page where you display some of your posts or all of your posts, you can limit it through a filter, through categories, to display only specific kinds of content. So you could even put these within other posts or pages if you wanted to reference other content that you've written. It's completely flexible. So let's quickly jump in and have a look at it. So I've made 3 dummy posts on this website that I've just made for this test. And this is kind of the standard look and feel. You have the picture, the category. These blog posts are not categorized because I just created them. The heading, the extract, and some of the information here, the date and the comments, number of comments. And you can completely customize all of this. So you can say I only want 2 posts, and then it starts to list them out in 2s with a maximum of, this has got 6 here. Let's reduce this to a maximum of 2. So then we only have a row of 2. And if we go back to 3 and do a row of 3, then we get a single row of 3. Or you can change it to masonry, which then staggers everything a bit like in Pinterest, depending on the size of the images and the text. So when you get multiple blog posts, they'll all stack like a kind of tiled effect. It's quite cool. You can change the size of the image, the ratio of the image to the headline. You can change the size of the headline, what appears, what doesn't appear, whether or not you have the excerpt appearing or not, and all of this metadata, the date, all of that stuff's completely configurable. You have 2 layouts. You have the classic and the cards. This is the classic. It's a bit more formal. I like the cards. I think that's cool. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can change here, adding pagination when there's more to see. I've only got 3 posts, so there isn't more to see here. You can source this stuff from pages, posts, custom posts. You can filter it by category, author tags, format, everything. It's really, really crazy. You can do anything with this. And there's another one further down here which is very similar, which I'll show you later, which does more or less the same thing in a different kind of layout. The next one is the social media share buttons, which I would suggest you should have a plugin for this stuff, like Social Warfare is one of the best ones out there. That's what I would put normally in your blog posts, or if you have a theme that includes one, that's ideal as well, like the Thrive themes do. But if you want to put one in a page, if there isn't already one appearing on a page or in a specific location, you can use this element. That's pretty cool. And you can add different kinds of elements from all kinds of social media here, and email and WhatsApp and all of that kind of stuff. Zing, Dig, all of the old ones. So that's very, very flexible. The next element we have is the quote. You can make a simple sexy looking quote like this one where everything is configurable. You can turn on and off the icon, change all the colors, all the fonts, all the alignment. You can make it center aligned like this. You can change all of the text. You can have a tweet button or no tweet button, although that's quite good for getting people to tweet highlighted quotes in your text. You can put a border around it, a label, no label, etc., etc. It's really, really flexible and really, really cool. So this is the other posts one that I was talking about. It's a little bit different. I think they call this one the portfolio. And it's very similar again. You can do queries and different kinds of content. It's just more of an image-based kind of an element. I haven't played with this one too much. You can do the masonry again. So it's more of an image-based version of blog posts. The problem I have with this kind of thing is you don't see what the title is until you hover on it, which can be good and bad depending on the situation, but I wouldn't use that for a blog post display. I think this top one is far better. Now we're getting to a really exciting one. The forms, the custom forms. These forms are really, really powerful. If you normally use something like Contact Form 7 for WordPress, it's not a bad tool, or WP Forms like some of my clients use. They're good form builders, but they're not drag and drop form builders like this where you can build it as you're seeing it, like Elementor is giving us right here, which is awesome, right? Because we can completely customize the look and feel exactly as it's going to look in the exact situation that we've placed it. So I've placed this form as like an email opt-in with name and email and send here, and then you can go down to the actions after submit, and then you can add in, for example, MailChimp, or you have to do a webhook if you want to hook it up to a system that will send it to other email providers, which is pretty much all of them. So using Elementor, you can easily hook up to any email provider. It's just a little bit of extra work. That's where I prefer things like Thrive. That does it completely integrated, but I would imagine Elementor is going to make this better in the future. But as a contact form, let's assume this is going to be used as a contact form and not an email opt-in, so you can do both. And let's realign the forms here. You can actually say whether things are full width or part width. So I'm going to make all of these 50%. And then I'm going to add a third element, which could potentially be something like a message for sending an email message to a website. And you can do required or not required, and you can show or not show those stars for mandatory fields. It's all completely customizable, so it's pretty crazy. You can do all sorts of select boxes and stuff. And then we can also change our button and make that 100% width as well, or maybe even 80%, and then we could center it. That doesn't seem to work very well, so actually let's go back and make that 100% to line all that up. So that looks pretty good now. I would probably add a little bit more padding with the button here. I'm not sure where I do that. Down here maybe. Put a little bit of padding above. Or actually I want margin above, so let's see if I can do that somewhere. It must be possible. I haven't actually played with it. I would like to space this out a little bit more. But anyway, let's not get bogged down with details. So this is pretty cool. You can make any kinds of forms, any kinds of elements. And what they've also included in the elements is stuff like the capture and the honeypot, which is really good for stopping spam. So the honeypot is the idea that if somebody fills in a field, they're trapped, like in the movies, in the spy movies, where you would capture somebody through a sort of a cunning technique. And I normally add a honeypot to my Contact Form 7, because what that does is it puts a field on the page that you can't see, and then if a robot comes and fills in the form and you're getting spam from people, they also fill in that field, whereas a normal person doesn't fill it in because you can't see it. So it's a really good way of stopping a lot of spam coming into your inbox. You could also do a capture form. It's another option. You then have to set up the capture here. It's not set up at the moment. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do. You can also change what happens when you submit the form. You can send an email. You can configure how that email looks, who it goes to, multiple people, BCC, CC, everything you can set up in here. You can put in the subject line that you're going to receive and the fields, exactly which fields. You can grab the field names from the fields above and put those in here. And you can also do a redirect, which is really cool. So you can redirect to a thank you page or add in a custom message that'll appear once you've submitted it and shows you that it's been successful, which is important because you want people to know that. So the form, really powerful. It replaces the need for a plugin. It makes it really cool. You don't need all these extra honeypot plugins, reCAPTCHA plugins, and submits and thank yous, and all of this stuff is included. And you can also do email stuff here as well, which is really great. So that's a really cool addition. The next one I wanted to look at is some pricing stuff. If you run a service-based business or a business where you sell items in a menu structure like a restaurant or a smoothie store or whatever, this is a really cool way of doing your menus instead of having downloadable PDFs, which really annoys me as a restaurant visitor. It's really a lot better to have your menus in HTML so that I can see them instead of having to download them. And you can go in and update these, and you could make a PDF from this using a plugin or something if you wanted to, but it's better to have something like this. So this is completely customizable. You can add all the elements, do all the styles, and create different columns and layouts, and you could make pages of menus for your restaurant or whatever it is that you're selling. And if we scroll down a bit further, what you also have as a service owner or someone who sells a SaaS business, maybe you have software as a service like a tool online, or maybe a service business, you can have your different packages here, and you can list all the elements that are included in each particular package, all the features of that package, the benefits, the title. You could put most popular, or you can delete that, completely customize this stuff and list out your prices for a particular service, your different packages. So lots of options there. Another really cool one is this flip card, where you have lots of people who like this stuff. I used to have a client who had that on their website for showing more details about a particular idea they were trying to present. That can be really interesting. You can put icons on that. And then you have the slider, which a lot of people love. Not a huge fan of it myself because I find it distracting, but if you have a photography website or a very visual website where you're selling things, sometimes it's useful to display multiple items at once, and you can completely customize this. This is really quite crazy. So if you've been using Revolution Slider or any of these paid slider plugins, you can pretty much ditch them because this thing does a really great job. Has the different animations available, whether or not you have a background overlay or not. So you can't see the text on this picture, so I added a background overlay so you now can see it. You can change the text, the buttons, the animation. It's all really cool. You have all the slider options here, the speed, whether it automatically plays, the navigation, whether it slides or fades. So it's not as crazy as a Revolution Slider if you've used that. That's a really crazy plugin that's taken me hours to do for clients. This is a lot simpler, but it's effective. It shows everything you need and has calls to action, which is like the button here, the thing that you want to click. So that's really cool. If you need to include that, you now don't need a plugin to do that. So these are the main ones that I wanted to cover in this particular video. There's a few more in here. They have a login element. What else do they have? Navigation menu, so you can make your own page with navigation. Testimonial carousel, so you could set up testimonials that are sliding past. A countdown timer, which is actually a really cool one. So this is really good for creating pages where there's a sense of urgency. If you're selling something, you have a sale or a launch, this is a really powerful thing to set up, and you can completely customize how this looks as well, make it see-through, put it on a different color background, all of that stuff, and set up the expiry time. The only thing that isn't possible to do here outside of the customization is to create what's called an evergreen timer, which is when a person revisits your site that they have been tagged and they always get the same timer. They can't trick the system to reinstate the timer. So that's really good for having sales within an email list. When someone signs up to your email, they get offered something 3 days later and they get 2 days to choose that offer or not. You can actually set up an evergreen timer which only works for them, and when they revisit the page, their time is exactly set from the day it starts to the day it ends, which is 3 days after the email sequence starts. So this doesn't do that. This is just a simple timer. So it'll work for sales on particular days of the year and stuff like that, but not for email sequences. You need to actually use Thrive products if you want to do that. So other ones that they have here that are worth looking at, you've got some stuff from Facebook, comments, Facebook page elements. So if you're into that kind of stuff, that's really good. That's pretty much it. You also have a media carousel for showing various media, so videos and stuff like that. So that's it for the elements of Elementor. Some of the other things that you want to be aware of that you're going to get when you buy this particular plugin is you also get access to custom CSS. So you can actually come in and add specific CSS to any element. So if something isn't configurable, and let's face it, 80 or 90% is, but sometimes you can't get to something and you really need to change this. So if you understand web design and CSS or want to learn it, this is a really good thing. So you could create custom backgrounds and shadows and all sorts of things which aren't necessarily available in the elements here in Elementor, which you want to have access to because you know you can do them, you just don't have a button to do them in Elementor. So this is available on every element, on sections, on columns, on everything. So you can customize everything completely, which is really, really awesome. Okay, the other one that's really, really cool is this global section here. Now I've clicked on the global section on the left, there's nothing in it, but what you can do is you can actually set one of these elements that you create as global, and you can then reuse it in other areas, and then when you decide to change it, it'll change it everywhere that you've used it, which is really awesome, right? Because if you're designing websites, or even if you're maintaining your own website and there's elements that you want to reuse, and then one day you decide to change a testimonial or you decide to change a heading or a price, you have to go and change it everywhere that you've used it, which is a real pain. So if you've got this global widget, it enables you to set it once and change it once, and it's done throughout your whole website. Awesome stuff. So that's really, really cool, and that's not available in a lot of page builders. Divi has it. Thrive currently doesn't have it as of end of 2017. They might catch up. And the other area which is really, really cool for Elementor is the number of templates that you get. So if we go in and click add a template, and you look at all of these pre-designed templates, and there's an insane amount of templates in here. If you look, I've got access to all of them. But now if I go and turn off the Pro plugin, I'm not sure if this is going to break my page or not. Let's just have a look. And then I reload this page. It might ruin the page completely or delete some stuff, but it's not important. I just want to show you what templates you get when you pay for the Pro version. It's about 130 versus 30. And of course, some of that is because the elements are not available in the non-Pro version, and like the pricing tables, obviously this is a Pro version. And so if you see here, I'm hovering over everything, and you'll see the yellow, most of these are Pro only. So that's got the countdown timer, all of this kind of stuff. So I actually went through and counted all of these for a review that I did, and I think I found 125-ish templates, and about 30 of them were available for the standard version. So if you're serious about building a web page and you want access to all these templates, you really need to get the Pro version because it has an awesome number of templates. And for $50, it's $49 for one site for the Pro, and then you get bang access to this page. This page was just created in like 10 seconds. It's crazy, and you can just use it, not use it, redo it, whatever, but you can use it as the basis for your website and take something you like the looks of, even if it's the wrong color or the wrong text, and you can just change it, and in half an hour you can have a page. So that's really, really powerful, and Elementor Pro takes that another step forward and gives you access to that. So there's all the elements there listed on the left hand side if you want to have a look at them. Look, let me just turn that back on for you. And if we add the Pro elements, you'll see them appear here on the left. Obviously you have all the basic elements in the normal Elementor, but it's just, you're kind of a bit limited in what you can create if you don't go with the Pro. So if you're really making a website or you're really serious about stuff, I recommend you really get the Pro version, because it has all this really cool options as well as elements, and some of them are really, really handy, and also the templates are just insane. Like, let's just jump in and grab a few more of these Pro templates and have a look. Like, this has got a pricing table, so this is a Pro template. You don't get access to that. It's taking a while to load that. Maybe I've broken it. Some of these page builders take a little bit long, so it's loaded all the elements in here. Black Friday, buy now, pricing table, countdown timer. So this is almost a full sales page. This is really crazy. So that's really, really cool. And one other thing you can do in Elementor Pro is you can also create templates. So I can go in here and construct an element, a series of elements, a sign up widget, or whatever I want to create, and then I can embed it in the sidebar or the footer, or if the header has widgets in your theme, you can also get it to go in the header. So you can create these mini little pieces of Elementor and embed them anywhere on your website where there are widgets, which, as I've said, is normally the sidebar and the footer. In most themes, it's theme dependent. It can sometimes be the header. And what you can also do is take these templates and get a shortcode for them, which is these little funny square brackets in WordPress. And you can embed them in the middle of something too. So if you're creating a blog post, you can just throw in an element with some lists of blog posts, one of these blog post elements, or a sign up form for signing up to your email list. You can put it in the middle of content using the shortcode. So that's really, really powerful. That's the last thing I wanted to mention with Pro. So there you go, you've got all these elements on the left-hand side, all of these Pro elements, and then you've got the CSS, the global widget, the templates, and the ability to add templates to widget areas and shortcodes. So that's Pro for you. I think it's worth buying that if you're serious about designing your website. It's up to you guys to decide. And I'll be doing some more Elementor stuff, so if you guys want to sign up and subscribe to my channel here, there's lots of stuff on WordPress and also how to make an awesome website using SEO as well, how to get ranked on Google. I do a lot of that stuff, and I'll be listing all of that below. So I hope to see you guys in the next video.